we discussed about regular amplitude modulation, suppressed carrier modulation scheme. Before going to discussion on schemes which reduce even further the bandwidth, like single sideband, vestigial sideband, a little bit peek into the most important building block of a communication system is the modulator. What is a modulator? A modulator is a time varying or a nonlinear system basically it is denoted by, sometimes it is known as a mixer also. There are various kinds of modulator. One of them is product modulator, which is analog multiplier and summer. So you have a signal mu xt. This is a notation for a modulator, cross. You have another signal AC cosine omega ct, which is generated from the local oscillator. You generate the product, analog multiplier. This is an analog multiplier. And then you add the carrier to get the amplitude modulated signal with the presence of the carrier. Analog multiplier now can be implemented in various modes like variable transconductance multiplier. This is one of the most often used technique. Hall effect devices. This is not quite used, but theoretically it's a good concept. In the low frequency, people tend to use log and anti-log amplifiers. So basically, the signal, when you multiply two signals, before that you pass this through you realize the process of multiplication by taking logarithm of both the signals. So log amplifier implemented using op amp, then you add them, so essentially it's a product, and then you do a anti-log, again implementing using an op amp. But this is limited to low frequency and low power, because low frequency op amp is easily available. High frequency, in the higher frequency range, it's difficult to make a very good operational amplifier, and definitely limited to low power. For high power, we do something known as a switching modulator. We'll discuss that. So the most important variable transconductance multiplier, the broad sketch is, you basically have a differential amplifier. So one of the input voltage is applied to the is a differential voltage applied to a differential amplifier. The gain of the differential amplifier is controlled. It depends on the transconductance, which essentially depends on the emitter current, and that is controlled by the second voltage. So V out, when you take the output, it is proportional to V1 and V2 product. The V2 provides the gain. This is relatively easy to implement in high frequency. Of course, you have to very carefully take the matching of the two transistors and then parasitic coupling into account and so on and so forth. But this is one of the preferable methods. Okay. Even higher frequency or high power, people tend to use nonlinear modulators. Out of them, for example, square law modulator is the most common, widely used. It can be implemented very easily using a diode-based combination circuit. So you have signal, you have the local oscillator carrier frequency, you add them, there is a total Vin, passes through that corresponding nonlinear element made using diodes or transistors, whatever it is. The output signal is passed through a filter. The output input relationship, because this is a nonlinear element, if it's a square law device, it is A1 Vin plus A2 Vin square. And xt plus when you combine them together, so this is cosine omega ct, so you have a1 xt, a2 x squared t, and a2 cos square gives you dc plus 2 omega c, and then you have at omega ct you have a1 xt and sorry, a1 cosine omega ct and 2a2 by 2a2 xt cosine omega ct. I can just substitute back there. Xt has a bandwidth of w, so x squared t has a bandwidth of 2w, and the modulated signal should, in that case, the carrier frequency should be greater than 3w in order to implement a band pass filter which just selects a component corresponding to the modulated signal. This is the only um, this is the this is the only criteria, only restrictive criteria which is present for this particular device. The carrier frequency should be greater than 3w, which obviously in most cases carrier frequency is quite high compared to the message bandwidth. If it is not, then you have to play around with the process. So the modulation index is given by basically 2 times a2 by a1, as you can see from here, because it is 1 plus mu xt cosine omega ct. You remember the amplitude modulation circuit. When you have a10, so a perfect square law device, which is v out is a2 v in square, just a square relationship. Then as you can see from here, yeah, v1 is 0. The output is some constant xt cosine omega ct. So you have double sideband suppressed carrier. Carrier is suppressed in the output. So this nonlinear element can be realized using FET with V in t as xt plus cosine omega ct. For example, can be realized using diode, can be realized using FET. So you have through transformer coupled signal of the local oscillator. You have the input signal. They pass through this. This is biased in a region where you have that square law nonlinearity. You have a bandpass filter RLC, and you extract the output. Now you come to two important concepts known as balanced modulator. What is a balanced modulator? There are two kinds of balanced modulator. One is single balanced, singly balanced. One is doubly balanced. Singly balanced, this is balanced with respect to uh, only one such signal. For example, balance with respect to a carrier frequency. So as you can see, what we have discussed, A1 is 0, we have DSBSC. So perfect square law devices are impossible. So double sideband suppressed carrier is made by using two nonlinear modulator device or two amplitude modulator devices in a balanced configuration to cancel out the carrier. So this is balanced with respect to carrier frequency. There are two kinds of schematics. One is the signal xt is divided into half xt and minus half xt. So such kind of device which um, creates a differential output from a regular input with respect to ground. So basically xt with respect to ground, you have half xt and minus xt. So they are differential. The difference between these two ports would give you the actual signal. So such kind of devices are known as BALAN, B-A-L-E-N, balanced to unbalanced or unbalanced to balanced transformer. So use a BALAN whose input is xt and the output becomes the differential. So that is fed to amplitude modulator. Each such amplitude modulator is basically one such square law device. This kind of square law modulator need not be ideal. So you have AC cosine omega ct, the carrier signal. Once you multiply them together, so you have AC 1 plus half xt cosine omega ct, and here you have AC 1 minus half xt cosine omega ct. If these two modulators are balanced, that means you have the exactly this relationship. So when you add them together, what do you get? You have xt AC cosine omega ct. Sorry, when you subtract them out. When you add them together, you have only the carrier frequency. Sorry, you have to take the differential of them. So you have xt, AC is the carrier frequency component, cosine omega ct. Or there is another schematic where this is a lattice schematic where you have The input signal half xt. You have the carrier local oscillator signal AC cosine omega ct. This structure is known as a lattice structure. So you have two summer combiner. One such combiner signal is combined together. X1 t is this plus this. In the other combiners, they are subtracted. So x2 t is this minus this. You have the same. You have a nonlinear element as discussed before, where output is axt plus bx squared t. So you have y1t output corresponding to input x1t. You have y2t output corresponding to input x2t. Then you subtract them, and the output zt is basically axt plus 2b ac xt cosine omega ct. You pass it through a band pass filter at frequency omega c, and you have a component which is only xt cosine omega ct. So this is a balanced differential input. We get an output using two amplitude modulator. This, on the other hand, is lattice structure using two amplitude or nonlinear element, and then you get a balanced output, or double sideband suppressed carrier. So you have two such schematic. Now, depend on your application, depends on various methodology. What you want to implement, you can choose appropriately. Next, we discussed about doubly balanced modulator. So far we discussed singly balanced. Singly balanced was balanced with respect to only one input, which is carrier frequency. Doubly balanced, it is balanced with respect to both input, double. That's why double. So the broad philosophy, one such very important example is a ring modulator. We'll take an example, practical circuitry. So ring modulator, you see, you have an input signal coming from here, xt, coupled through a transformer. The transformer has a circuitry. The transformer is connected to a ring kind of circuitry, where you have four diodes arranged in a position like again kind of lattice. This structure is known as lattice structure, lattice ring. So diode 1, diode 1 prime in this direction, and the lattice is diode 2 and diode 2 prime. These diodes are biased by a square wave carrier CT. The same carrier frequency oscillator, which is generated from the local oscillator with frequency FC, you convert it to a square wave, or you can actually give the sinusoid input also, but in most practical cases you amplify it in such a way such that you amplify it in a nonlinear region such that it gets clipped and you get an approximate square wave. Okay, that is a very important technique, and you use them to bias the diode ring. The output is again coupled by a transformer Vout. You have a bandpass filter which is between SC minus W to SC plus W. You get an output of the modulated signal. Let's see the principle of operation. When here you see xt is balanced, plus minus, so differential input. Here you see the carrier is also provided in a balance mode, plus minus. So you have a differential carrier input, and you see this the local oscillator when you implement in Colpitts, Hartley, you study those circuitry. When you implement those local oscillators, you can very easily actually implement in a differential mode. Output is differential, so you need not have a separate circuit which converts from single ended to differential ended. Okay, similarly input signal, so it can be inherent to the generation of the signal. So you have to keep that in mind. Fine. So when this clock portion, when this carrier portion CT is greater than 0, then what happens is you have a high voltage here, you have a low voltage here. So the diodes, one conducts, and since you have a lower voltage here in this side, so diode 1 conducts and 1 prime conducts. The output is basically V out is xt. When CT is less than 0, you have a lower voltage here, you have a high voltage here. Since you have a high voltage here, so diode 2 prime 2 prime conducts. So you have a lower voltage here and you have a high voltage here. So diode 2 conducts and diode 2 prime conducts via this method. So you have a signal. So negative portion of the signal conducts like this. So you have a minus xt receiving here, which gets coupled to the output, which the current flows like this, and it gets completed via diode 2 to the positive portion. So output is just flipped. So the output V out is minus xt. This is the most important operation principle of a philosophy of a doubly balanced modulation scheme modulator. So what is the output now? The V out is basically XTCT. When it is positive, we have plus XT. When it is less than 0, minus XT. Now you do a Fourier analysis. So CT, the square wave, or if it is sinus or whatever it is, clipped sinusoid or whatever it is. For example, if it's a pure square wave, the CT is basically you have 4 by pi cosine omega CT, 4 by 3 pi cosine 3 omega CT, cosine 5 omega CT, and so on and so forth. So one such component is some constant xt or cosine omega CT. You have a bandpass filter between centered around Fc with a bandwidth of 2W. So which only filters out this signal. All other signals are discarded. And henceforth the output is xt cosine omega CT. Very. You can also implement using something known as a diode bridge switch configuration. This is also a ring structure, but not a lattice ring structure, bridge structure. So this one was a lattice structure, crisscross. This is known as a bridge structure. So in this case, what happens? Let's say these 2 points, you have cosine omega CT plus minus. If AB, you see, when it's plus and minus, that means C is positive, point D is negative. So what happens is, what is the conduction phenomenon? So this is positive, this is negative. So there is so from here, it conducts through D3 and conducts through D4, D1, D2. So all the diodes conduct. So and the point A and B are close to short. When it's just the opposite. C is negative and D is positive. C is negative, D is positive, D positive, higher voltage. In the it's just the reverse bias. That's a reverse bias. So all the diodes are open and the point A and B are open. So in one such configuration, A and B are shorted. Another configuration, A and B are open. Okay. So basically now what happens is, if now you provide the input here, xt, you'd see that when the clock is positive, when the carrier is positive, the clip carrier, whatever it is, the positive half, like this portion, positive half, you see the signal is conducted. It's shorted, point A and B is shorted, means it's conducted. When it's in the negative half, carrier, it's open. Okay. So how does it look? It will look something like this. I'll give an example. So when it is, so you have a signal in the positive half, it's conducting. So you have a portion like this, when the carrier is going negative, it's not conducting. It's open. So you have, this kind of uh, the signal is consists of, portions, certain portions only in the region where the carrier amplitude is greater than zero. It's positive half. For the other half, it's thrown away. It's clipped. It's should not say clipped. It's basically shorted. Now you can do the Fourier analysis of all this, and you can obtain the signal. We'll see that soon. So this is also a config. This is known as a bridge configuration. This is known as lattice configuration of doubly balanced modulator. So where is this used? This is used in switching modulator scheme, which is used for high level modulation, high level high power modulation, where the output power required is very high. So you have this active switch. This can be a FET switch. This can be a diode based switch. You have signal coupled here, and this is tuned at the frequency FC, and you get an output. There are configurations. You can either use this switch in this, for example, A and B. You can use in series bridge diode modulator scheme. For example, the signal XT, which gets coupled to the series switch, and you have a bandpass filter. Or you can use a parallel shunt bridge modulator scheme, signal X3, A and B switch, bandpass filter. So when it's shorted, you get an output 0. When it's open, you get XT. Here it's when it's shorted, you get an output XT. When it's open, you get 0. Somehow that connection needs to be made. So you have two configurations, series and shunt bridge diode modulator. And coming back to this switching modulator, the output is this V plus this ratio nxt times cosine omega ct, and you can control the modulation index by varying this transformer ratio and the base voltage. So this is known as supply voltage modulated class C amplifier. Typically you use a class C amplifier at the output of this for a high power output amplitude modulated circuit. Okay, so now let's see how the bridge modulator output looks. You have empty signal whose spectrum is like this, m omega. The output, the output corresponding to this, as we have seen, is either open or short, which essentially means that the signal is multiplied by some weighting function Wt, which is either 1 when the carrier is positive, when the carrier is positive, the carrier signal is positive, that means greater than 0, and 0 when it's in the negative region. So we have the carrier signal like this, sinusoid or whatever it is. So when you multiply mt by Wt, you get a signal which is like this. You see the envelope is preserved, except that it's holded at few points, other points it's grounded. When you do the spectrum of this, Wt you can expand in Fourier series, and you'll see you preserve m omega, and you preserve components around omega c and 3 omega c and so on and so forth. And you then do a bandpass filtering. There's a bandpass filter. You only keep the component around omega c. The output corresponds to mt cosine omega ct with a constant factor 2 by pi. It's very similar to the ring configuration, except that now it can handle more power. Here the output was xt and minus xt. Here the output was xt and 0, grounded. So anyway, what we had done is we had discussed about various kinds of modulators, building blocks, the building heart of the communication system. which modulates. The same thing can be used for demodulation. That means which from the carrier frequency translates the message signal down to the baseband. It's the same circuitry. Huh? The same nonlinear squaler device, singly balanced modulator, doubly balanced modulator, ring modulator, diode bridge, switching modulator. Huh? In the next lecture, we'll discuss about suppressed sideband amplitude modulator. Suppressed sideband, where previously the modulation scheme was both the bands were present around carrier frequency, they are symmetric. We are unnecessarily using more bandwidth. Now we want a bandwidth which is lesser than that, suppressed sideband. So sideband is suppressed, okay? A single sideband. Only the same information will be contained in one sideband. Okay? We'll discuss. But the hardware becomes more difficult. Thank you very much.